You have probably heard the saying, money can ruin a relationship. Whether you agree or not, money can really ruin a relationship or friendship. That is why we bring up this book to comment on for you all. The original title in English as The 5 Money Personalities. Before starting the main content of this book, let's look at this figure. In the United States, 50% of newlyweds get divorced, and of those, 70% get divorced because of money problems. We have also seen it in movies or real life. Sometimes a husband tries to save money to go on a trip abroad together, but his wife spends all her money on cosmetics. Sometimes a wife tries to save money to buy a new house, but her husband takes away a new car. In short, your savings plans and financial goals are always at odds. Sometimes just giving a gift to both parents can cause a lot of trouble in the family. No matter how big the expense, even a small tip or a street shopping spree can cause arguments, to the point where some spouses will hide money to use because they don't want to be influenced by the other person's decisions. Seeing this problem, Schott and Bethany Palmer wrote this book. Both in theory and in practice, this couple has been very successful in both their families and their finances. They created a program called The Money Couple that has helped thousands of newlyweds create financial plans to avoid financial conflicts for over 30 years in the United States. This book is like a guide for newlyweds to properly divide family finances, achieving both financial freedom and family happiness. What is this book about? The main content of this book is as follows. First, the author mentions the old ideas that every newlywed couple has about money. Then he describes the 5 different personality types of people when it comes to managing money. And finally, he mentions different solutions according to the personality of those people. Part 1. If we ask every couple a question, why do they fight so much about money? Most of them will probably answer, because they don't have money, they fight. You are not wrong to think like this, but in fact, some couples have a lot of money and are already wealthy, but they still have money problems. Some say because they don't have a clear financial plan. It is not wrong to say this, but having a clear financial plan can only make you manage your money well, but it cannot guarantee that there will be no money disputes in the family. While others say, because of different personalities, some are generous, some spend a lot, some are frugal, and some are just stingy. This answer seems to be close to what is mentioned in this book, because in this book, different personalities are divided into 5 types of people based on their spending habits. The 5 types of people are super savers, super spenders, adventurers, careful spenders, and finally, the lifesavers. Let's look at their characteristics one by one. The first type of person, the super saver. He is a careful spender and is very happy when he can keep money in himself. He is also a person who has a clear financial plan and is not very excited about buying new things. If he decides to save money, he is not easy to use that money to do something unreasonable. If he is in debt, he is still unhappy, and he does not know how to use a credit card. As for the second type of person, it is different. He never remembers or cares about how much he spends. Such people are not sure if they have money, but they like to spend money very much. They understand that only spending money and buying new things will make them happy. Go out to eat, like to give money to others, like to buy gifts for them on special occasions, etc. This type of person is considered a top spender. The third type of person? We call him an adventurer because he likes to do things that involve risk. If he invests in any project, he doesn't care much about the return on his investment. In his mind, everything is possible. He likes to invest money, buy land, buy a house, start a new business, join a stock company, etc. Only things that are full of these risks can make him feel excited, happy, and secure. The fourth type of person is a meticulous spender. Before spending or investing in something, they do detailed research, ask friends, check online, etc. What they want is not the cheapest thing, but something they buy and are happy with, use for a long time, and are not taken advantage of. If they buy a house or something important, they will search for information from all sides, check prices everywhere, and then make a decision. They are not a thrifty person, but if you want money to come out of your pocket, it requires you to be very patient. The fifth type of person is a person who lives according to the rules. They are not very interested in having money or not. Whether they have money or not, their behavior and lifestyle do not change much. Having money means spending. If not, they live without money. There is no romance with money and no planning. You see, people with different personalities have different spending habits, and some people do not belong to any one type exactly. They can mix 2 or 3 types together. So it can be said that people have very different perceptions of spending. Think about it. If a frugal person marries a spendthrift, an adventurous person marries a spendthrift, when they decide to live together for the rest of their lives, they will definitely face a big problem: money. The second part will explore the characteristics of different people in the above 5 spending habits. This is just the first step. The next step is to learn how to solve the problem in terms of their personality. We will describe the solutions to the problem from mild to severe. In the first stage, we will talk about prevention strategies first. The first thing you need to pay attention to is not to assume what kind of personality they are, because a person's spending habits do not determine their personal character. In general, talking about money can affect the feelings of a couple, because we often assume what kind of person they are based on their spending alone, so it makes the other party feel that it is a bad evaluation of them. In fact, spending habits are just part of a person's other personality. It is difficult to change, but it does not determine what kind of person they are. It is like a gentle or aggressive personality, shy or brave, or you could say it is like our skin color or height. We cannot change our skin color, nor can we make our height taller. So if someone says something negative about your skin color or height, you will definitely be unhappy. Similarly, if your husband or wife, your partner, says that you are a spendthrift or a spendthrifty, you will not be happy and will react immediately. So don't judge your partner by what kind of person they are or which of the 5 personality traits they have. Just know in your heart that you are fine. The second step is to try to understand your partner. This is easy to say, but not easy to do. You need to find some free time on the weekend to try a game together, where your partner manages the money to cover the expenses for the whole day to find out what their spending habits are. Next, let's find out how each type of person spends money. What are their unique characteristics? Understand each of them clearly so we can show you how to deal with them. First, let's talk about the characteristics of super frugal people. They are people who don't like to spend money, and when they spend, they think very carefully. So they also demand that we, their partners, spend carefully and frugally like them. In order for them to calm down, you need to have a spending plan and give it to them. For example, on special occasions such as New Year's Eve, birthdays, going out, etc., you need to tell them in advance what you will do with the money on all those special occasions so that they know in advance and are prepared to spend it. But don't withdraw the money and wait to inform them, because this will definitely make them angry. To deal with someone who is good at frugality, you need to have a plan before doing anything. The opposite of a saver is a spender. Every time a holiday or shopping day comes, he spends without thinking. If you have a partner like this, you need to work hard to earn a little more money. Sometimes he doesn't just spend what he has, he may borrow from others to fulfill his desires, which can lead to debt and conflict in the family. What should you do if you have a partner like this? The author recommends a strategy called talk before you do. For example, when his birthday comes, he needs to spend on this or that purchase. You may initially think it will only cost $100, but it actually costs $400 or $500. If you have a husband or wife who spends a lot like this, what you need to do is talk to him first. For example, Dear brother, today is your birthday. On such a special day, we must have some kind of program. Now, let's go. Tonight, we will spend $300 to eat something delicious and buy the things you want to buy. Is that okay? Doing this will make him understand that you agree to let him spend and already have a figure in mind. When you both have a budget, he doesn't dare to spend more than what you have already agreed on. If you want to live happily with a big spender, what you need to do is talk to him first. On the other hand, those who spend meticulously are not much different from the top savers. What he thinks is whether the expense is reasonable or not. What is always on his mind is worrying that he will spend money and find it difficult to get it back. So what you need to do is give him a choice. Explain to him what benefits his spending will bring, how the money can be returned so that he dares to spend. Then comes the adventurer. For this type of person, what is important to him is not money, but the excitement he feels when he spends on something. As long as he gets this feeling, he is willing to spend as much as he wants. But if he can get this feeling in other ways, he will not want to spend. If you have a life partner who is like this, what you need to do is think of new things that can make him excited but cost less money. Finally, you spend according to your lifestyle, how much you spend. This type of person has no spending plan. He likes to spend according to his feelings, and he doesn't like saving money. If you have a partner like this, all you can do is remind him often. For example, like your birthday, your wedding anniversary, etc. You need to remind him often or give him some kind of sign to let him know. Otherwise, he may forget. If he already knows, he won't think about what to spend. Also, when you plan to do something, you need to plan it and tell him exactly what you want. Don't wait for him to remind you. On the other hand, you need to learn to live with his character. Learn to enjoy what you both have, because he is a person who has as much as he spends. His life is also according to his lifestyle, not demanding much. The above are the spending habits of the 5 different types of people. When you understand the habits and personalities of these 5 types of people, you will be able to prevent many problems that occur in your family related to financial matters. But if those problems have already occurred, what you need to solve is the issue of trust. In the 3rd part above, we have given many examples of disagreements between husband and wife in managing family expenses. What makes you worried, unhappy, angry, always causes problems in the family, not because of money, not because of what you spend on, how much money, but because of the trust between the two. If you spend carelessly, hurt the other person's feelings, make them unhappy, cause problems and conflicts in the family, and lose trust between each other, then your marriage is not far from breaking up because of money. Financial infidelity is a betrayal of trust that shakes your relationship. It doesn't matter how much you spend. The problem is not caused by the amount of money. Below, let's take a look at some habits that are considered financial infidelity. First, separate personal accounts, which means that a husband or wife creates one or more personal accounts. Creating a personal account is not initially a problem. The important thing is whether it is transparent or not, or in other words, whether the other party knows that you have it. If he doesn't know how much you have in your account and what you spend it on, it is considered financial infidelity. Second, excessive spending or excessive debt. The pressure from debt or reckless spending by one person can also be considered financial dishonesty. For example, if he is the biggest spender when both of you have little money, he can't bear to spend it on this or that thing, change the phone, buy a new bag. Or if he is an adventurer, he can use the money to invest in a business with friends. When he loses, he borrows from others to cover the family expenses. He starts lying, starts hiding, and all these mistakes happen again and again, which makes both of you fight. Third, lack of planning. This is a big problem for most couples. For example, if both of you have children, you start planning to save money to send them to a good school, but because your husband is a rich person and spends so much, according to the law, your plan is only thought about, but you don't do it. And if your wife is a good saver, she secretly opens another account to save for whatever purpose. If one day your husband finds out, there will be a problem. Fourth, excessive control. If there is a husband or wife in your family who is too strict about spending, the other party will definitely find a way to open another account. Especially for men, when their wife is too strict about their spending, they will definitely be forced to hide some of it because they need money to eat with friends, buy this, buy that, etc. So if one is too strict, the other will definitely be dishonest financially. Fifth, similar to the first, is to hide this money. As long as you have money in a place where the other party does not know, this is called hiding money, which is part of financial dishonesty in this family. In this book, the author gives an example. There were two husbands and wives. One time, the husband needed $10,000 to start a business with his friends. The husband tried to get a little bit from here, a little bit from there, but it was still not enough. Then suddenly the wife took out a black bag full of money, including $10,000. Although the husband was excited to see his wife helping each other when they needed money, when he thought about it, he asked himself, where did this money come from? Later, the wife confessed that every time she went to the market, she took out $10 every day. The husband heard this and was shocked and thought, in fact, the wife has been hiding for so long. Part 4. If your family relationship is experiencing such problems, then you may need a good solution to deal with the chronic illness that is occurring. You need to be brave enough to bring this up with your partner, but before you start, you need to be prepared. The author recommends that you both take a piece of paper and a pen, find a quiet place, and draw a vertical line dividing the paper into two parts. On the left side, write down the good things about the other party, what you admire about them, and what you hope they will continue to do. For example, we have separate incomes. They are good at finding cheap airline tickets. They like to buy discounted goods, etc. All of which can be written here. On the right side, write down any problems you are facing that could be affecting your relationship. For example, you spend too much on eating out, you don't travel abroad much, or your spouse is too strict with money, so you can't afford to spend on things you want without their permission. You can write them down on the right side. Once you've written them down, don't forget to think of ways to make the other person happy and excited. When you're talking, praise the other person for their good qualities to show your respect and appreciation. Now the conversation will get even more heated because now is the time to bring up the bad things. At this point, remember to express your feelings, not just find fault with the other person. If you're unhappy because you're spending too much on them, use gentle language and express your concerns. For example, you want to save some money because you're afraid that you won't have enough money to pay for your child's school fees when they grow up. Or you want to cut back on your outings. You want to save some money so that you can pay for medical care if you get sick later. But don't blame each other. Because you only think about going out. When you need money, you don't know where to get it. Third, lack of planning. This is a big problem for most couples. For example, if both of you have children, you start planning to save money to send them to a good school, but because your husband is a rich person and spends so much, according to the law, your plan is only thought about, but you don't do it. And if your wife is a good saver, she secretly opens another account to save for whatever purpose. If one day your husband finds out, there will be a problem. Fourth, excessive control. If there is a husband or wife in your family who is too strict about spending, the other party will definitely find a way to open another account. Especially for men, when their wife is too strict about their spending, they will definitely be forced to hide some of it because they need money to eat with friends, buy this, buy that, etc. So if one is too strict, the other will definitely be dishonest financially. Fifth, similar to the first, is to hide this money. As long as you have money in a place where the other party does not know, this is called hiding money, which is part of financial dishonesty in this family. In this book, the author gives an example. There were two husbands and wives. One time, the husband needed $10,000 to start a business with his friends. The husband tried to get a little bit from here, a little bit from there, but it was still not enough. Then suddenly the wife took out a black bag full of money, including $10,000. Although the husband was excited to see his wife helping each other when they needed money, when he thought about it, he asked himself, where did this money come from? Later, the wife confessed that every time she went to the market, she took out $10 every day. The husband heard this and was shocked and thought, in fact, the wife has been hiding for so long. Part 5. We have already presented both the theory and the practice, but sometimes it can still cause problems in our relationship because we cannot control ourselves. So both you and your partner need to be aware of the 3 reasons behind this money-related conflict. First, not recognizing who you are. We have already mentioned the 5 types of people when it comes to managing money, but some people refuse to admit their weaknesses, which is why it can be a problem when you bring this up in a discussion. Second, sometimes we can be selfish without realizing it. When we talk about our needs too much and forget to think about the feelings and emotional impact of the other party, conflict can arise. Third, we can become aggressive and impatient when we have money. They say that money changes people, but in reality, money brings out the true character of a person. Most people refuse to bring it up because they are afraid to talk about it. It hurts the relationship. But if you keep it in your heart and allow it to be a chronic disease in your relationship, it will not be long before your relationship will end because of money. Finally, the author recommends 3 more pieces of advice, like Balinese, that you need to memorize when we argue about money. First, stop. When you both start to get angry, you need to learn to control your emotions for a moment. Calm down a bit and ask yourself, why do we have to yell at each other so loudly? What's behind those feelings? Is it because we're afraid, worried, or don't trust each other? Second, give up making assumptions and unreasonable judgments. In relationships, we forget to always accuse each other without reason, which makes the other party defend themselves, argue back and forth, and cause conflict. For example, if your wife spent $100 on dinner with her friends, you immediately ask, "Where did you eat? How expensive is it? You really don't know how to save." Then your wife will immediately react to why you call her a wasteful person. Sometimes it's just a special occasion for her. Third, give them space. After we get to know who our partner is, we need to be tolerant of their weaknesses, because marriage is about filling each other's shortcomings. If you know that he is not a thrifty person, you can find ways to help him save money. Ask him to withdraw part of his income and put it in a bank or put it in a piggy bank. But don't blame him every day for his spending habits, because these behaviors are very difficult to change. The above is a summary of the main points that we have extracted from the book Money and the Language of Love. Thank you all for listening. Congratulations, you have finished listening to another book.